What does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? A dangerous amount of coffee and a ton of grit. My name is Jason Tracy, and every week I interview business leaders to share their stories, life lessons, failures, and advice with you. Welcome to Coffee and Grit. Let's go. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Grit. And I've got a couple difference makers in the studio with me today. We're going to talk about a really awesome business, something different than we've ever had in an episode before. And we've got a husband-wife duo. And so there's going to be some things we're going to dive in and talk about from there too. So without further ado, I just want to jump into this conversation because as we were just talking, every time I've had a conversation with these two, we've been able to dive in pretty deep, pretty quickly. So Matt and Andrea from Crosswinds Aviation, welcome to the studio. Welcome to Coffee and Grit.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Super excited to be here.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been on the calendar now for a couple of months. And it's been something I've been looking forward to. So last week, at the end of the week, I looked like, who's on this week? Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. All right. It's fine. We're here.
Us too,
awesome.
for sure. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Crosswind Aviations and how you guys got started.
You want to go ahead?
Sure thing. So, Matt and I come from corporate backgrounds. So being in a flight school business was not really even on the radar. We did love flight. We were both flight training, 15 years ago. We were all about aviation. We thought it was awesome. Matt has his private and his instrument rating. I have my private rating, and we would just travel around the country, with our kids and that kind of thing. And then 13 years ago, there was an opportunity at a local flight school to purchase the flight school, and we kind of thought, this might be something interesting we want to have an impact on. And we knew that there could be a pilot shortage happening in the industry. It was a big debate back then, but we were pretty confident that we could do something with it. So we kind of dove in and started with, we didn't even have a flight instructor. It was just me, the plane, Matt, and then we went from there.
Yeah. So it was funny when we started flying in 99. I think I got my license in 2000. We always thought, well, maybe in retirement someday it would be fun to own a flight school, have something small, a hobby type thing. And then, really over the years fell in love with aviation and started thinking about, maybe we start an air taxi business someday. Maybe we should start, maybe do a flight school. There's all kinds of different types of aviation related businesses. And then we were sitting on a pontoon boat on Lake Chemung and got a call from the owner of the flight school that we own now and said, hey, our pilot is leaving for the airlines. Do you guys have any interest in taking this business over? And at the time, it was one airplane, one instructor. And, we sat and thought for a minute. We'll never forget that call. And figured, well, like Andrea said, we had been keeping an eye on the reports of the pilot shortage and kind of where the industry was going. And at the time, flight schools were not a great business, not, low margins, very hard to make it. So most people that we had talked to at the time said, really, that's not a great idea. But we saw the way where the industry was going and thought, if we apply our corporate practices that we had learned throughout our career to this business and get our feet under us, maybe there's a wave we could ride, at some point. So we jumped in and that's what we did. And pretty much exactly what we said we would do, we've done at this point. So yeah. And that's actually something that we learned very quickly. When we literally the day that we signed the paperwork to buy the flight school, we just looked at each other and said, we're the best flight school in Michigan. We didn't have a flight instructor. We had one airplane.
Yeah.
We had two students.
We didn't know how to run a flight school.
Yeah, we had no idea.
But it's the best one in Michigan.
It's the best one in Michigan. Of course.
But, and that I think kind of really stuck with us over the years that, just declaring something and bringing it into existence, when you just say something or you write something down,
yep,
it just changes your world, it becomes real. So, and we find the more that we specify things, the more they become reality, and it happens over and over. And I think that we could talk for 2 hours on just that, I think.
Absolutely.
Just everything.
As my eyes are lighting up, let's dive into it. That's the stuff I love to talk about. I love how you said that word specifically, declarations. I talk about that all the time. Like the times that I've said something out loud, this is what I'm going to do. just like what you said, I do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what happens is when you do that and you believe it just to your core, I think that kind of what happens is it doesn't just change what you do, but it changes the people that tend to be around you. So whether it's core values or a business specification or a strategy or whatever we're talking about, when you live and breathe it, then when you're out in the community or with friends or whoever, just talking about it and telling a story. It's really about a story. When you're telling your story, all of a sudden people make offers to help you with it. And the next thing, it was probably a month in and we already had a group of people surrounding us, supporting what we were doing. Just the phenomenon of doing that and declaring things and believing it, I think is a huge part of our success.
Oh, for sure. And I think also just right away off the bat, we wanted to make sure we were integrated into the community. We knew that we couldn't do it just on our own. And so going out into the community, participating in the chambers, in Rotary, and all the different kind of organizations, there's so many great people, and they all are little cheerleaders for you. Like, I love how much there's collaboration in Livingston County, and people really want to help make a business thrive. And I think if we're helping each other in whatever business we're doing, we're really building a great community and a place that everybody wants to live and play and work. So that was one of the things that we said early on that we wanted to do. And also get involved in the schools. The school district has been fantastic, LESA and the Howell Public Schools. Those partnerships have been just really, really important to really launch us into a different realm, because that's really what gets us up in the morning, is really having those kids in our ground school, giving them the opportunity to become pilots, and then we get pictures when they're out in the world as on the flight deck, and we were just amazed how that they would have never probably done that if we didn't have this. And so really just changing how their future looks is really exciting to us. We think that's great.
Being part of the beginning of their career. That's what our passion is. That's what gets us up in the morning, is just changing the lives of youth through aviation, and that is our passion. And again, and also what's interesting is, we didn't know that was our passion.
That was going to be my next question for you. Yeah.
We had to get there.
We had to get there.
Trial and error.
And I think in the beginning of our business, we, especially in aviation, there's a lot of shiny objects, right? There's charter, and there's aircraft management, and there's maintenance, and there's all these and new aircraft and Cirrus airplanes and new technologies. There's all this new stuff always coming, in our industry and probably most industries. But what's interesting is when we look back, we were kind of trying a little bit of everything. I always think about it like throwing spaghetti on the wall and what sticks, right?
Yep.
And so probably the first 5 years of our business, we were doing that and just trying a little bit of everything just to see what worked and what didn't, which I think was a good process. But to really grow and have a real business, we found, and this was through help, like through the EOS, Entrepreneurs Operating System, and our integrator, Kevin Sabaski. Huge help with those processes and tools, and Kevin's help to really get focused. And through that process, what we found we did is we threw out the stuff that we didn't really care about as much as getting youth started in their career. And then when we really get focused on our business, what are we doing? What are we passionate about? What's the specific niche that we have? That's when things really started to take off. So, and I think early in the business, you hear people tell you, make sure you stay focused on your offer. Don't spread yourself too thin. All these words are said to you, and you're like, I don't really even know what that means.
Right. Yeah.
But now we do. Now we can see it clearly, by going through the process of, really getting focused. It's really changed, what we do and how we do it.
I love going back to your point. You had said, like, we had to try out these things. You had to go through that 5 years. And because when they say those things, they're like, find your niche market and stuff like that. How do you know what you like? How do you know what you're really passionate about if you don't go and try all these, the spaghetti at the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to put yourself out there a little bit and try different things. You're going to have a lot of naysayers. And you kind of have to, I think, listen to some of that with a grain of salt, because part of it is there's always going to be the negative to anything, to any idea. And sometimes you just have to try it out, and maybe you will fail and be okay with that. And then you can move on. But if you don't try it, then you can't take it off the list. So a lot of times it's just trying different things. And I think that in the beginning, it's okay to just try a couple different things if you're intentional. I mean, I think at the time we were kind of intentional, kind of not. But now looking back, it was good that we did go through that process and kind of, rule out some things and see where was the really big nugget that we were super behind and wanting to move forward with. And the marketplace changes all the time too, because the starting salaries for these pilots are a lot more than they used to be, and the shortage is really starting to hit. And so now it makes a lot more sense. The return on the investment is there for those pilots, and so now we can really focus on that and continue down the path.
Yeah, and so when we talked a little bit about trying different things out, one of the things that I think about too is just boundaries and the boundaries that we put on ourselves. People, I think we tend to be critical of ourselves and what we can do and what's possible, and other people, your friends, your family, your coworkers, also put a lot of boundaries and kind of constrain what you can do. And I always think, I just recently, the last few years, I can't help but think about Elon Musk and what he's doing. I mean, he started a car company, took on the big three, started a space company, is rocking it out with his space company, doing amazing things. And sure, he started with a lot of money, but I that he made.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was it PayPal that he started? Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah. So, but what I always think about is to not be constrained, to be very conscious and work very hard on not letting your own constraints, other people's constraints, actually constrain you. Try to release that and have an openness to what the possibilities are. Maybe another way to put it is just dream big. Dream really big, and then eliminate things that just aren't consistent or don't make sense, right? But don't start by constraining yourself. Start with, what could we do?
Yeah.
If we had, let's say, all the money, all the time, all the resource, all the capacity, let's envision what we could turn something into. And it may or may not be possible, but if you start there, you're probably going to take it farther than if you started smaller. So, a big part of what we do and the work that we do with Kevin and the EOS is dream big. When we do our quarterly meetings, our annual meetings, especially our annual meetings, we step back for a minute and say, okay, what can we turn this thing into? Let's start there.
That's just huge to be able to sit back, take your step outside of the business and do that. And I love how you kind of take that constraint off, because I think a couple things happen. One, you painted the picture really well there of we start off our business with a lid on it.
Yeah.
This is like, we look at
this is the max.
The max that we can get. And I think as we're going and working on our business and we're growing, that adjusts. But if we put that lid on it, it's very hard to adjust and go past that lid.
Right.
Versus, I love how you say, if money's not an option, if this is a perfect world, if we have all the resources, this is what it looks like. Because then, how do you create a map to get there?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you can dream so big that it's like literally not possible, but that's fine.
Yeah.
You can then take those big dreams and then constrain them to what is physically possible. So if you go through the process that way, you'll end up specifying something that's likely bigger than if you start with something with a lid on it. So,
well, I think the concept of dreaming big also comes into play when you add a layer of leadership and managers in your business. Now you're leading a group of really accomplished individuals, and what is the story, and are they going to follow? And if you have something that's really compelling and attractive that they're like, wow, yeah, that's cool, and they're getting excited, then it fuels the fire, because you work off each other's energy, and amazing things can happen. As we hired more management and leadership into our team, we're amazed all the things that we can produce. That before it was just Matt and I, and there was only so much we could get accomplished. And now it's really amazing. And then they bring a whole nother set of ideas and concepts to the table too that we would have never really even thought of. That gets us fired up and excited.
Which is a great point too, by the way, for any solopreneurs out there. That's a scary process. When you go from, just us running the business, and, we had employees, flight instructors, but we didn't really have any, let's say, overhead. The first time you jump into hiring overhead, you're like, how are we going to afford this?
Yep.
This is scary.
Yeah.
Because you're not making revenue when you hire people that are purely overhead helping you run the business. So that's a very scary step to take. And what I hear from other business owners that have gone through that process, and from our experiences, do it sooner than later. We waited too long. We should have started hiring a leadership team and managers earlier. We would have accelerated our business faster if we had made that leap and not been so scared to do so. So I think, you have to be smart. You have to be responsible. You can't just hire a bunch of people that you can't afford.
Yeah.
But the sooner you can start doing that, the sooner that ceiling that you're likely hitting is you're going to break through it.
What was that straw for you guys that got you to finally say, we need to hire somebody?
Well, I think when we got the EMU contract, we knew we needed to hire.
Yeah.
We needed a chief pilot, and we'd been dragging our feet on that for a long time. To become a 141 school, we had to hire more, and I think also, your bodies do wear out. You can only do so much.
Yeah.
I think we were both just burning the candle from both ends. We had a family too, and it does start impacting our relationship and the relationship with the business and just everything. And I think we had to take some drastic action to be like, okay, we need to shed some of this, because wearing 10 hats in the business is not healthy long term. And sometimes, we've bootstrapped the whole entire business. That's great.
Yeah.
And we worked really, really hard. We had younger bodies. Now, as we get older, we're trying to be more focused on, the balance and really how to make sure that we're taking care of all the concerns, and bringing those people on board definitely has helped a ton.
I think
and peace of mind too.
Yeah. I think our bodies were actually suffering. We got to the point where you can only work, both of us, 80-hour weeks. Year after year
for so many years
with no vacation and no way to get away. You can only do that for so long before you start having signs that your body's like, you got to stop this.
Yep.
So I think that is definitely part of it, where it's like, okay, we need to, and part of it too is, we were kind of growing up in terms of our mindset about what a business is. If our business was just us working 80-hour weeks, then it's really not a business. I always thought, what if we weren't here? Does this business still run? Is there any way to make it run on its own? And if it is running without us, spending that amount of time in it, does it still make money? Is it still profitable? And if the answer is no, then it's not really a business.
Yeah.
So I think that's a transition that, especially again, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs need to get through. Is if your business is a real business, it has to be able to some degree run on its own, not without you giving direction and being a CEO and making strategy move. That's all very important. But if the operations of the business can't run on their own without you being the main person running it, then really it's not a business yet.
Yeah.
And now that all kind of gets into exit strategy and, what are you trying to produce, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. But, when you look at business value, a business doesn't have a lot of value if you're the business.
Yeah. What do you sell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Are you selling
if
you
you're
or-
old and you're retiring and you're leaving, you have nothing.
Right. Exactly. So, so I think all those things kind of played into our finally taking the leap. Like, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna, you know, I think we're at that point maybe 3, 4, or 5 years into the business. It's like, okay, are we really doing this? You know, like, was this a fun thing to try out? And okay, that was fun. Let's move on to something else. Or are we committing to this, and this is what we're going to build, you know, and produce value that, you know, we could someday get out of it and be financially independent, or however you want to look at that. But if it's going to have value, we have to take that leap at some point, and probably the sooner the better. So I think that's really what.
Well, I think we had some consultants, so
Yeah,
like
we had
Kevin
some people.
Sabaski was nudging us and guiding us as well. And you keep hearing the same thing over and over again. At some point, we were at U of M and we did it was an entrepreneurship class, and
business
so there
class.
was a lot of input into what we were doing and how we were doing it. And I think when you hear something over and over and over again by very smart people,
Yeah.
you're like,
You might wanna
maybe I
just do
should
it.
try it.
Exactly.
And for those listeners that are like, Kevin Sabaski's name sounds really familiar. Kevin was a guest on Coffee and Grit.
Oh,
was he?
yeah.
Okay.
It's probably been a year and a half ago now.
Okay.
Super good episode. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we had a recurring theme, you know, every quarter, you know, EOS, we have quarterlies and annuals, you know, we had a recurring theme for probably 2 years, which was, you know, we couldn't get done the things that we said we wanted to get done because we didn't have the time to do it, and we were worn out. And that was the common theme. And, you know, again, finally 2 years later, it's like, okay, we gotta fix this. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you start bringing in people, because now it's like, you know, now you have to find people, and the right people, right? How did that start unfolding for you guys as you start doing that, or go down that road?
Well, that's another very interesting
It is,
phenomenon.
and interesting.
Yeah.
We kind of put things out in the universe and they kind of show up.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
So
I
there
mean-
is an energy. There's something about that. The laws of attraction.
5,000%.
There's something out there. We've been very fortunate that we've put things out in the world and they've shown up for us in some ways, networking, or just our
Yeah.
chief kind of showed up on a silver platter for us one day. So
we can't tell you how many times when we decide we need this, and some of it's just talking to people and putting it out there in the
Yeah.
universe. But it's been amazing how many times we've said we need X, and X literally calls the next week the phone, like, hey, I just left my job at this flight school, and I was wondering if you need a this or that. And we're like, really? Did that just happen? And of course we do our due diligence, go through our interview process and make sure. But yeah, that's happened a lot, with us. Flight instructors are a little different. We make, they're our students, they train to become CFIs. We make more of them than we can hire, to be quite honest. So that's kind of a luxury in our business, that
You're constantly training
we're constantly training our next employee, which has cons as well, because we have a lot of turnover, so training is a big
so
deal.
HR has a lot of work
HR
to do.
has a lot of work.
That's one of my hats.
Right. Yeah. So, but in terms of the leadership team, we have not had to. We've hired one person actually that we paid a recruiter for. Other than that, they've kind of shown up on our doorstep when we've needed them. So, so it's an interesting phenomenon. Again, I think that if you're somebody that's listening, it's really important to believe. The energy of belief, I think, is, and I'm not talking about religious. I mean, the belief, there is an energy there. Just put it out, like, this is what we need, and we need it soon, and it happens.
Yeah, and I think also, we have a strong set of core values. We have a great environment, a working environment. I think there's good gossip out in the industry about us, so people do show up just from that perspective, or they come to visit and they feel really good when they're in our lobby and they're like, I don't know what it is, but it's just so fun to be here. And so I think that is important too, because having a great workplace, because people are spending a lot of time at at their job. And if you have a great environment and you're really listening to the concerns of your employees and making it a great place for them, and they feel valued and they feel a sense of belonging, that's a huge plus. And not all businesses are set up that way. So I think that that's really helped us a ton.
And shared, our employees share our story of what we're up to. When we talk about changing the lives of youth through aviation, we don't just put that on a piece of paper every quarter and look at it every quarter. We literally talk about that in our leadership team meetings every week, and everything is focused on that, and everyone's excited about it. We're making significant changes to our over the last 2 years. We've been in a project, we call it the Captains Program, where we're changing our curriculum kind of throughout the whole zero to hire package of our curriculum to change how we train students, how we do flight training. We want to do it better and different than everyone else in the industry. And so our leadership team is actually super excited about that. We're creating something together that's going to be, we think, something very competitive, not just here in Southeast Michigan, but across the country potentially. And so then again, take the lid off. Stop thinking about, we're just doing flight training with the way the FAA says to do it. It's like, no, the FAA has their standards that we have to meet, of course, but we think that we can do it even better than what they say we need to do. We want to create great professional people, not just people with FAA ratings and hours.
Yeah.
So I think by together specifying with our team, dreaming big with them and saying, what could we really pull off here? Then we all kind of start getting excited about it, and I think the excitement of what you're doing and what you're producing is a big part of having your leadership team and your employees march to the same path and be excited about it.
People want to be part of a mission. They want to be part of something that's bigger than them. And so when they can tie into that story, and it sounds like you guys through EOS and through everything you've done did a great job of creating that story. Because I know a little bit ago you said now creating that story to get that buy-in. And it sounds like you did a good job of creating that story and that mission for people to really buy in. And then what kind of difference do they make when you bring that to them and they're in their meetings and they're able to bring their perspective, their, to your point, their creative geniuses, their skill set to the problem, or to the issue.
Yeah, it's a huge deal, having that combined story.
We've talked about a lot about like the law of attraction, and I love this. We haven't dove down this in a little bit on this on the show, which is so awesome. Like, what is your journey through that? Like, is it something that you've just always inherently had? Have you been through personal development? Like, what's your journey with the law of attraction?
Well, I think we both, when we used to work for Kevin Sabaski when he had an IT consulting company. So he sent us through training out in California. It was the business professionals course, and then the AGI network, and it was a sales professional course as well. And I think through that we learned a lot of distinctions of language and 13 domains of human concern, and like how to think about all of that. And I think we always were looking for specifying our future, not just the next year, but the 5-year, 10-year, 20-year. And we did a lot of specification back then about just like what we wanted for our family and what we wanted this. And all the things we specified always seemed to happen. So, and then, and then opportunities would come to us, and we were always trying to be as open as possible. And we jumped on things that other people, I think, thought, that's too risky. Oh, well, how are you going to make that happen? There's no way that's going to happen. And we would just listen to the naysayers, but also just know that there's going to be breakdowns, there's going to be hardships, but we can figure it out. It's only an issue. We can pool our resources and figure out the solve for things. So I think Matt's masterful at looking at everything as a half glass full, rather than the half glass empty. And that really, I think, has led us both to kind of always look for the positive and always be in a space of wonder about how can we make things happen. And I think that that is attractive to other people, and it attracts people to you because you've got something that you're working on, and what's going on there, and so it's just kind of. I don't think it was necessarily like we're going to follow the laws of attraction. I think it was just getting educated and just moving in the world in a positive light has really snowballed to what we're at today. And I think we are excited for how can we help mentor and grow now our leadership team, and how can they help and grow the flight instructors, because whenever there's issues, usually it's issues with just they're young, they haven't had to deal with things, or they're maybe our age and they've just never led a group of individuals before, and how can we help mentor them and change their perspective and give them the tools to make them great at it. And that's what we're learning right now, is how to lead leaders or make leaders. And so I think that's our next challenge is really getting great at that. And so we're excited to work on that. We've got some new things we're going to school for.
Leadership courses for us and our leaders in our business. Back to the attraction thing for a minute. I think one of our core values for our business is the power of positivity, and I think that if you think about the people that you like to be around, most of us, if you really think about it, like to be around other people who are upbeat, excited for what they're doing in the world, taking care of their bodies, doing really cool things. Of course, we all look on Facebook, and apparently everyone's doing cool things. But we all know that's not always
social
true.
media sometimes.
Yeah. So, but I do believe that and I'm a positive person, not just because I should be, but I just always have been. You know what I mean? Like, I've always had a lot of fun. I like to have a good time. I like to work hard. and I'm just talking about myself. Andrew's got, her own story. But for me, it's just like, let's kill it. I always say I've got one life to live, right? We all do, we all know it. One life to live. My biggest fear, since I was a kid, when anyone asked me my biggest fear is I'm laying on my deathbed someday and I'm thinking I didn't do enough. That's so don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to get there and be like, yeah, man, I did everything I could. I probably could have done more. Yes. Sometimes we're all lazy and sometimes we procrastinate things. We all do that. And when we do give yourself a break a little bit, because sometimes we need to rest and have fun. But the point is just always love what you're doing, whether it's work or play or marriage or family. Just love it. We've got one life to live. Why not just love it? And I think that people who are like that, other people just like to be around.
Yep.
And so I think that's, and that's an energy. I think it's attractive. It's attractive to other people. It's contagious, when you're with people and they're having a great time, you start having a great time. So I think that's the power of positivity just as a core value, and living and breathing that day to day is a big part of that.
It's living. I love this, both of your answers, because it's really like we just went out and did it, and it just kind of happened, and so we believed in it.
Yeah. But not without a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
but again, I think a lot of people overlook a lot of these things, and I've had a couple recent episodes talking about this kind of thing of having that energy. I told this story about we went out a quick recap. We went. My son had he then plays AAU basketball, and we did this tournament a few weeks ago out in Fort Wayne, and we were at this hotel. And first off, I get excited over little things, right? And so there's like this automatic pancake maker. Have you seen these in the hotels?
Yeah,
They flip out on the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So
oh my god, I'm losing my mind. Like, this is nuts. I love pancakes.
Right.
So there's this hotel employee named Angela, and she I had a conversation with her before that, and she was just super energetic, and we had a great conversation. And then she saw us flipping out about the pancake maker. So she came over and she's like, oh my God, and you can pull it out and you can make 9 of them at a time. And so she's raising my energy, right? And I'm like, I'm thinking it's because the conversation I had with her first, and I saw her as a person, we were talking, and then, I thought it was just me. And then I was sitting and I was eating breakfast, and I was watching her have the same interaction with everybody. Like, she was giving everybody a certain amount of energy.
Right.
And my point in that story a couple weeks ago was that so many times we say like we'll have great energy and we'll make a difference when the situation is right. When
Yep.
I get to this point and I own this business and I'm having a
Right.
success, I can go make an impact.
Yeah, no.
Angela's
Let's-
at the hotel working as,
Yeah.
cleaning up the breakfast area, making the impact in people's days, every life, because she chose that way. She
Yeah.
chose that.
It's
Absolutely.
the end game.
It's the end game.
Waiting for the end game. And so, like, my mom has always said, enjoy the journey. She's always reminded me, enjoy the journey. And so, we do have a tendency to say, once I graduate from high school, then
Yeah,
things will be better.
then I'll
Once
be
I
happy.
get a college degree, it'll be really great. And once I have this, and really enjoy the time you're doing it and getting there, because there's so many golden nuggets along the way. And to enjoy the journey, like, make sure you speckle in some fun and some other things, because if it's just all work and no play, that's not great either. And so you have to, like, always think about the balance of things and enjoying that journey.
Yeah. I think we've all, wanted something really bad, a boat, a house, a this, a that, a car. And then we get it. And for like a week, it's like, yes, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, it's just a car.
Yeah.
It wears
just a
off a
boat.
little bit.
Yeah. So like, I think it's really important to keep in perspective, just things. I think in our culture, we are designed and taught to care about money and things, and that's just not it. Now, sometimes those things, like we have a sailboat, does that bring us great joy? Yes, but not because we have a sailboat. It's because we can experience exploring with our friends. It's almost everything that we have. What I find is it's not about the thing. The thing is just a tool
Yeah.
to hang out with our friends and have a good time.
Yeah.
Or go explore and see more of the world. All these things that we care so much about are literally that. They're just things. If they're not bringing you some kind of joy in terms of what you do with them, the excitement wears off pretty quick.
If you're sitting in your boat all by yourself,
Right.
you're like,
Yay.
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly. If you're not hanging out with 6 of your friends and skiing and having a blast, and then the boat really doesn't matter. That's kind of the point. So I think kind of the way I think about it is that, don't get too caught up in the things in the house. A big house, by the way, is just more house to clean, right? It's like, how many people do you need to fit in your house? How big do you need it? So I think as a culture, we've gotten really caught up in the things, mostly for the economic, capitalistic society. We need to sell things, grow the economy. Of course, that's what's happening. But really, for ourselves, I think it's important to keep that on perspective. It's really not about, it's not about the money and the things. And the reason I kind of think about that is, as business owners, what I was thinking as we were talking earlier is in terms of the story and the passion and the mission that we're on, it shouldn't be about the money, right? We've always said, if we do what we're excited about and passionate about, the money will work itself out.
Yep.
It's not that you can't care about it. You have to make sure you're profitable and you're charging enough for your expenses. There's just basic math that has to go on, right? So you have to pay attention to that, of course. But if you're doing it to make money, to get a bigger house, to get a boat, whatever, then it's not going to be as fulfilling.
It's not as compelling.
Then you're not. And so when Andrea talks about enjoying the journey, that's what we're talking about. Is don't make it about the things and the money. Make it about the experience that you're going to be able to have along the way. And if you think about it that way, then you're going to have you're going to have to work hard.
Yeah.
You can't be a business owner and not work hard. It's just, I don't think it's possible. Maybe some people have figured out, I don't know, but not us. So you're always going to have to work hard. But if you're doing it and doing it for the right reasons, for the things that you're passionate about, and the people, and to me, most important, the people that you can be around both at work and at play on your boat or whatever, then you're going to really enjoy the journey and not dread the hard work, because the hard work is just a vehicle to have a great life.
It's impossible to go do good things for people and not have a good life. And it's not like, hey, remember that good thing I did for you? And I'm knocking on your door now and asking for you to pay it back.
Right.
But it's like, it's going out and it's taking care of people. It's creating that life where you're enjoying it. You have that happy, positive energy, and you change people's lives along the way.
Right.
And then people show up for you when you need it.
And I think that's kind of reeling back to your original question about the energy and finding people. I think that's really what it's all about, because people see us enjoying our lives. We're enjoying the journey. We're passionate about what we're doing. We're super positive. We love being around people and talking to people. I think honestly, that's what brings us the most joy, is social, talking to people and having a good time.
And taking great care of people. I mean, really, we want to take great care of people, and whatever that is. And so we're always trying to innovate there and think, how can we do this better? How can we be of better service to others in different ways? Either it's volunteering, or it's in the business, or, helping somebody with something, because that provides us a ton of joy just doing that. And it comes back,
Yeah, and I think culturally that's what we've lost, right? It's become all about the money and things. Really, human behavior is really more about taking care of each other. Most people that are really, really happy, a lot of them don't have much money at all. There's some very poor people that are the happiest people and it's like, well, that's interesting. Why is that?
Yeah.
So I think just culturally we've been shoved into this theory that it's all about the money and the things versus just taking care of each other. And I think if you look at, we've done a lot of human study and how our brains work in the course that we took. And really at the end of the day, even if you look at social media, why is it that the endorphins flow through our bodies when we put something out there and people like it?
Isn't it crazy? I know.
And it's like, if you just think about that, it's not about money and things. You want people to like you.
Absolutely.
You want to take care of, and really I think that comes from, we are built to take care of each other as communities. We're social beings, and if you get more focused on that, and how can I take better care of my family, my friends, my coworkers, that's what actually feels a lot better than just putting some cash in my pocket, right? So,
but to your point, when you do that, and then you set up a business intentionally because you have the basic math and the things like that, that stuff will come.
Yeah,
right. When you're putting all these other pieces together, the other stuff will come.
Yeah.
It's not that you can't be happy and not have this, right? You can still have this. You can still build a great business.
In fact, I would argue you'd have a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Because if you're building a life where you're taking care of people, what happens is it's kind of altruistically selfish, right? The more you take care of other people, not that you're keeping score or anything, but just genuinely caring about people, the more people are going to make offers to you to take care of you. And that's I think that just happens.
It does.
That's a human behavior. The people that I want to take care of in life, if you just think about it for a minute and think about who you want to be around and who you want to, if they need help, give them help right away. It's the people that take care of you and actually genuinely care.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of in a way, a lost transaction, in our current culture and society is the focus on taking care of each other versus all the stuff. And I think that's a big part of that attraction and why it's not really hard for us to find the right people, because they're all kind of around us. As soon as we say, hey, we need this, that person is just one separation from us in showing up.
Because people are our greatest resources. And to what you're saying is building the relationships has always been what's important to you. And then in the meantime, you're going through and you're being purposeful and you're saying, this is what we're doing. This is what we need.
Right.
You're creating those decorations and you're telling people what you're doing and you have an energy and excitement.
Don't be afraid to say it. Yeah. Put it out there. Don't let it be a secret. Let it out. The universe will respond.
Yeah. Have you read the book, The Alchemist?
I don't know.
I'm familiar with it, but I haven't read it. No.
Really good book, but it's along the same lines of like when you find your purpose or when you find your thing you're supposed to be doing and you go out there, the world conspires to give it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it isn't linear because you got to like learn your lessons and you got to make your mistakes and there's like certain things where you're like, why am I doing this thing? Like you're like, am I supposed to be here? And then you move and you make shifts. But when you go out there and you declare your purpose, all of a sudden the world opens up and people start helping you.
Right.
And I know I've experienced that through this journey of like, even this podcast, it was like all of a sudden this place came about. And,
Right.
it was like,
oh,
It's just
cool.
fantastic.
whoa,
Yeah.
No,
I didn't have to build it. I didn't
have to build it.
Yeah.
I don't have to have the team.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like all the things
Exactly.
are just taken care of for me there versus what I was doing by myself trying to get this off the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, we need others for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's not possible without others.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And it's not a hard equation, again, for people listening, it's not like, to kind of what you just said, it's not like you have to go through a certain process and it's linear and all this. It's like, write something down, believe it, and put it out there.
Yep.
Tell people about it, make a story and believe it. Just like we were saying when we started the flight school, we didn't have anything yet, but we believed we were the best flight school in Michigan. That's where it started, and just by like, and not just kind of fake believing
Yeah.
it, like
Yeah.
genuinely
We're the best flight
deep
school in
down.
Michigan.
Yeah. Right. And I think it's because we knew we could do it. You know what I mean? If you know you can pull something off and you're not bound by all the stuff that says you can't, get rid of all that stuff, believe it, and you will. And yes, it's hard work. You just start grinding away, blocking and tackling, and just getting the stuff done that you need to get done to make it happen. But if you believe that you can do it, then just do it.
And for people listening to think this is so hard, just think of the energy shift of like when you're going out and you're talking to your friends and someone's like, oh, what are you doing now? Like, oh, we bought a little aviation school, blah, blah, blah. Like, versus we had the best aviation school in the state.
It's a different story.
Yeah, it's a different story.
Tell me more about that. What happened?
Well, we don't have an instructor yet, but we still have the best. Yeah.
But it's just different, that vibe and that energy. One of my biggest
yeah.
pet peeves, and it's so common. You ever
Yeah.
ask people how they're doing? They're like, not too bad.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's like, that is not compelling.
That's
It's
not
like,
compelling at all.
Never mind.
Tell me
Like,
more. No, not really.
Not
Don't tell
too
me. I
bad.
don't wanna
Like
hear that.
yesterday, you were chewing glass. Today,
Right.
not too bad. Like, it's not
Exactly.
too bad. Like, what is that? But it's a very common thing. And so I love like shifting when people are like, "How you doing?" Like, phenomenal, amazing.
Right.
Like, like even if it's like not a great day, like it sure is something. Like
Right.
it's like, but people are like then pulled in, like, what?
Right.
Like, tell me more about that versus not too bad. Like, I want to get
Right.
away from those people as quickly as possible.
Exactly. and that's the common. Uncommon is, I love my life. This is great.
Yeah.
How many times do you ask people how they're doing? They're like, living the dream. It's like, okay.
My personal mission is like, because I've said this so many times, is to say like living the dream and mean it.
Yes,
like
yes,
Oh,
living
yeah.
the dream, and
Like,
people are
actually believe it.
like, and actually believing it.
Right. I
Because
am
you
living
hear
the dream.
the way you said it, like living the dream, like it's
Yeah.
that whole
The
like
tone.
The
it's the
tone.
whole tone.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is those people assume that you're miserable
Right.
because they
Aren't
like
we
assume
all?
that we're all miserable, right?
Exactly. But you don't have to be.
Like we're
That's
all
the
on the
point.
inside joke, living the dream. Like
Right.
I am living the dream. What do you
Exactly.
mean?
Right. I actually mean it.
Yeah, because you can't live the dream unless you mean it and you find the ways that make you happy. And it's just little things at a time, right? It doesn't look like you just started and you literally had the best groom flight school in Michigan.
Right.
You had to grow it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we had to shift the mindset to make it happen too. I mean, a lot of times there's more power than you even know. We live in the greatest country where you can invent something from scratch and build it to where you want to be. And I've seen it over and over and over again. But you just have to start somewhere and start with something. And I think when you go out into the world and start talking to people, you'll build the story and it'll shape and mold and change. And you'll see what are people excited about and what are people not that excited about, what resonates and what doesn't resonate. And I think it's all in the story. Getting
all
back
in
to
the
this,
story.
it's all in the story.
And by the way, creating a story is free. You don't have to pay someone. You can literally just sit down and write it on a napkin.
Yep.
Right? You don't. It's free. Just do it. Make a story and refine it over. That's what we've done with the EOS process. Is we've started with a story that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But every quarter, every year, we refine it and refine it and refine it, and be okay with that too. Like, oh well, this part of the story that's garbage. That was a bad idea. Let's get rid of it. Be open to, cut your losses. You may have we invested a whole bunch of money into a charter license, an FAA charter license. I mean, probably a couple $100,000, I don't know, in our time and people's resource and all that. And then one day we decide, you know what? That's not what we like. That's not what we're passionate about. So let's get rid of it. And now that's in the history, and we learned, and move on.
And it was a good exercise to go through it because we
Go.
were familiar with that whole dealing with the FAA and all that.
But
it was a great education.
Yeah, and once you make those decisions, don't dwell on it. What do we always say? That owning a business is the most expensive education you can ever buy.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of things. You make choices and you're like, wow, why did I do that? That was a lot of money, but that's okay. And that's where you have to give yourself grace. I think that you're going to make some mistakes. There's going to be some missteps, and that's part of the journey.
Yeah.
It's but that it does shape and mold who you are. If everything was perfect and easy, it wouldn't be worth it. It would just, if it was handed over to you.
And everyone would do it.
Yeah.
Everybody would do it, but again, there would be no accomplishment to it. Like if you won an NBA championship, everybody won the NBA championship. It's like, there's no journey to get there. And it's like, I just got this trophy, and for what?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other thing too is the way we see the world. We live in a capitalistic society. Although it appears to be really nice and we're in this safe bubble, thankfully we are in a safe, secure country because, we've produced that, right? I mean, we as a country have produced that. But when it comes to making money, having a business, it's the Wild West. It is dog eat dog.
Absolutely.
And it's not apparent. Our competition could gobble us up in a heartbeat if we're not careful. We have to remain.
Yeah, it's a jungle. There's lions out there.
Literally.
There's lions.
I love you work that in. That's awesome.
Yeah. They are ready to eat us. So don't. And so really, and kind of the point with the story is like, at the end of the day, it's who's got the better story. And don't minimize that.
5,000%.
It's if we as a flight school have a much more compelling story to our students than our biggest competitor, we're the lion. Look out, here we come.
Yep.
And don't minimize what we can do. Or somebody else. So kind of my point with that is the possibilities in this country specifically are endless. And to recognize that you have great opportunity to do almost anything you want. You also have to be real careful because so does everybody else.
Yeah.
If someone's got a better story and a better offer, look out.
Absolutely. Well, and it's cool. You have the power of the resources. We talked about social media, but literally anybody can tell their story for free right now. And you see so many people that have created businesses off of social media, just getting on and telling their story. You see people that are just making money off of creating content or going on and talking to somebody on social media. And my wife has shown these people that are really good at TikTok, for example. They'll come on and they'll tell their story and then they'll just like talk to people, like in the sense of like almost like they're therapists, and they're hey, how's it going today? Blah, blah, blah. And then they'll like pause and be like, yeah, I had that kind of day too. And then they'll like go on and like they just bring these people in and they're just racking up money.
Yeah.
It's kind of shifting there, but it's just there's so much that you can do from somebody that's sitting at home right now. Like, how do I go out there and tell my story? It's infinitely is what the tools and resources we have to get out there.
Absolutely. And it's not easy, on the flip side of that, so many like our kids, see that it's like, ooh, it's easy to make a bunch of money now on social media. Well, it's not.
Well, there's a lot of skill. I mean, even with podcasting, there's a lot of skill. And when you look back and it's not an easy, you make it look easy.
Right.
But it's not,
a skill.
It's not easy. All the practice and
all the practice.
And
I mean,
the
this
time.
alone is episode of Just Coffee and Grit 168,
Right.
But so many different things I did before that. I did a couple episodes before this of Business on a Bike where I rode my Harley out to a couple of different entrepreneurs and recorded them. And I'm like, this is cool. It was fun. But I'm like, man, this is so much editing.
Yeah.
This is so much I'm not going to keep doing this. It's not sustainable.
It's nice having an editing team in the other room.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool idea. I think, if I had a high production value or like value, then it'd be really cool. But I was like, this is not sustainable. I'm not going to do this every single week, And so I had to shift and learn and grow and
and that's kind of our TV world of our culture is,
or movies
or
they
movies.
make them look really easy.
You see the star of the show or the movie and it's like, wow, they were just born that way, and look at how they did that. That's amazing. they don't show the boring part, which was the 10 years of learning and training and education to get to the point where they can perform like that.
Exactly.
Right. So I think that's a big part of business too, is, you can't think that you can just go out there and perform like other business people. You have to start somewhere, and you got to put the work in. You got to educate yourself. You got to go through training, maybe get certificates. What depends on what you're doing, but you can't think that I'm just going to start a business and tomorrow it's going to be successful. Learning how to perform as a business owner takes time. It takes work. It takes education. Everyone ends up kind of developing their own style, I think, from all the stuff that they learn. But you have to put the work into it.
You have to put the work into it, and I think it is there can be a struggle to it as you're growing and you're going through those growing pains. And people, I think, oftentimes assume, you have this business, especially if people have heard of it, that it must be nice, you must have all of this.
Right.
Like I had Sam Gimbel on, who owns Atlas Outdoor, and he's talking about like, when people thought I made it, I was in my truck crying because I couldn't make payroll. Right. People thought I must be nice and I haven't made. Like I was sitting in my truck crying, like, how is this going to work out? How am I going to make this happen?
Yeah. It is, as you're growing a business, and we've grown it really fast. The numbers, the zeros just keep adding, and then you're like, whoa, how are we going to be able to do this? And it is. There's a lot to it. There's a lot more. There's so much learning. It never ends.
Yeah, there's a lot. And that's why you have to really enjoy it, because there's a lot of stress that goes along with it. When you're looking at the numbers, sometimes like, wait a minute, are we going to make it here? In 2 months, we could not be in good shape. So we need to make some changes. But that's the risk reward game that you're getting into as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You are taking a lot of risk. You're the one putting the money out there or investing in it or whatever. And, hopefully if you play your cards right and are smart about it and create a great story and all the things we talked about, it'll pay off, but there's no guarantees. There just are no guarantees. So, I think that's also to really be an entrepreneur, you have to be a bit of a risk taker. You have to be okay putting yourself out there, taking some risk. You might lose it all. But you got to be okay with that. And I think a lot of that, like for us, we worry a lot about that because we care about our business and the story that we're producing and our employees and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if somehow it went sideways, we have skills, right? I'm confident we can make a living.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure it out.
Whether that's another business or an employee of some other business or whatever, I think that power, the power that you have is not in your business or your work. It's in your ability to perform, and so that's why I think a big emphasis on education, learning as much as you can, read as many books as you can, take as many classes as you can that is in things that are interesting. The more you're educated and the more you can perform in the business world, whether that's your business or for somebody else, that's your value. It's not in your business. And if things go sideways, that's okay. And
recover quickly. If you do have breakdowns or failures, recover super quick. The quicker you can get over it and learn from that piece and move on, I think is huge in just being able to be successful, because there's going to be a lot of failures, and that's just part of it. You can't do it without that. And if you're
paralyzed by the fear, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're in a fantasy that it won't happen. But if you can recover quickly and just move on and just take the nugget, take the learning and then go and make it happen.
Yeah, the most successful people out there have failed the most, So if you're not willing to fail and take some risk, then,
it's not for you.
Right. It's definitely business ownership is not for you. And that's okay. It's not for
500%.
everyone. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes people, a lot of people are doing like side gigs, they might have a salaried job and then you dabble in it and learn what you can. Keep your day job, and then if you're really after it, there's a lot of learning. He was when we started our business, he still had his full-time job, and so he was doing burning the candle night and weekends to build this business. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Because you do what you have to do in order to get you to where you want to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, during that time of our life, we were raising 2 kids. I had my full-time job. Andrea was doing the flight school full-time, and then I was helping, and it was a ton of work. Like we put our time in,
Yeah,
and then some, which that's where the kind of the stressful part was. But you also have to be willing to do that too. You sacrifice. If you're not willing to sacrifice to make it happen, it may not be the right thing for you. If you want to have kind of just a cush job and make your income and, maybe not make a ton of money in your life, which is fine. Don't get into business if you're not willing to sacrifice and put the work into it and educate yourself, all the things.
And be committed. I mean, be committed to the business and to whoever you're working with and, your partner or whatever. Yeah.
How did you guys decide that it was in the kids that where your passion was at? Because there's all these options. How did you decide that?
Boy, I think we just, it's really what Andrea said. I think the more we sent our students out into the world that were training with us, and they would send us pictures back of their success and basically them sitting in the cockpit of an airliner, to put it simply, we're like, that's cool.
That's super cool.
They made it happen right, as the student, but we facilitated it. Our business, if it weren't for us and our business, that wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have found their passion.
Yeah, and we have a holiday party every year, and then the parents come up to us, and then they corner us, and they say, "Thank you so much. My child didn't really know what they wanted to do, and now they're out doing these great things." And it almost like chokes you up because they're almost choked up, and you're just like, wow, that feels so good that I had an impact on somebody else's life. And then the parents are just so happy that that opportunity was presented to them. I mean, the student had to make it happen. I mean, it's not easy. It's not an easy gig. And so they had to be committed and do all the work and get there. But we're the conduit to help make that happen. So that just felt good. It felt amazing. I mean, we're parents, so we're intrinsically wanting to help people find their passion, whatever that is. And we have a lot of high school students that are in the class and they're like, yeah, aviation's not really for me. And that's okay. I mean, we got to have, these kids got to kind of go through things and figure out.
I was going to say, how do you know
love?
what you want unless you experience it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you could be wanting to go to through aviation and like not experience it and think that's what you want to go through, and you pay go through this whole
make college decisions, all this stuff, and then you get there and you spend a whole bunch of money to find out that wasn't it. Yeah. So I mean, really, we're giving an opportunity to young people to try it out and see if it's something that they want to pursue. And it's a small percentage of them that actually come out the other end, right? I mean, maybe 30% of them start their training. In this business, we lose about 70% of our students in the first license, the private pilot license, because they, thought that that's what they wanted to do. And in the end, they don't love it. And really being a pilot it's just for a very small percentage of the population. There's a, certain characteristic that people have, a lot of it's just commitment, dedication, and wanting to put the hard work in because it's hard. A lot of studying, a lot of work. It's not driver's training. It's 50 times harder than that, So, and a lot of the students just don't want to put the work into it. Now, we also have students that don't want to now, and then they come back 5 years later and they're like, you know what? I can't get this out of my mind. I'm ready to put the work into it.
Yeah.
So that
it wasn't ready for the time for them at that time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a maturity piece of it. There's just and where they are in their lives. A lot of people have different things they have to go through to get to where they want to be.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I mean, when you have parents like Andrew was saying that spend $80,000 with us to put their student through training, and then they come up to us and they're like, thank you so much for what you did.
It's
like, that's a great place to be in.
Great place to be. You have parents cornering you and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Did we screw this up somehow? He's like, no, they're trying to thank me. So
they could be cornering you for a whole other reason.
yeah, exactly. You always think your body always thinks the worst, right? It's like, oh no, what did we do? So yeah, so that's why. I mean, it's really the outcome. Seeing changing the lives of youth through aviation. I mean, it's happened so much now over the last 13 years that it's like, yeah, that's what we want to do.
That's incredibly impactful. And one of my biggest pet peeves or things I see out in the world is like, how do kids know what they want? Because their whole life they're given like these 5 careers they can go do, right? They can go be a nurse, a doctor, a teacher, a police officer, a fireman. Like I don't even know if those 2 are very good options. I don't even know, like, but as they're raised as kids, they only see like a handful of professions and things they can do. Before we started in Adam was in here, he was talking about like the things that kids can do now and plug in and get prepared.
Big shout out to LESA. And all the school districts in Livingston County. I mean, together it's clear to me that their focus is on the students, not on individual, school district budgets. And, money has to move around when students go to another school district to take a class through the CTE, another CTE course. But what Adam was saying that, LESA has, 24 programs that they just, did a video shoot for. That's 24 different career opportunities that they're putting in front of all of the students in Livingston County. I mean, that's a big deal, and kudos to them and the school districts participating in that to make sure that, we're caring more about exposing students to their possible careers than keeping a student in my, district for the full day to get the most, money out of that student.
Yeah.
That matters.
That matters.
When you're putting students first in front of those things, that's, again, kudos to them for doing that.
That's absolutely huge because when you think about it from, again, that capitalistic standpoint, they've got to do what they need to do to keep their lights on and their school running, so that's a real thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say it's a very student-focused or student-first county for sure. And we see that in the other county. We have high school programs in Genesee County and Eaton, Risa. All of these, ESAs that we're working with are very much that way, where they're really focused on the student and making sure that they have the best opportunity to learn what they want to do and get, leg up on their career versus just caring about our budgets and not the student. So, again, we can't say enough about that.
That's super awesome.
Yeah.
Just random, but when we were at the Howell Chamber event a couple weeks ago, after hours, and you were like, "Don't worry, the kids up there flying." Was there some kind of a thing about people?
White planes
in one of the
above
groups,
us.
people like the planes, like there was like
little white planes.
Yeah, I said, see all the little white planes flying around here? Those are very likely our high school students. Don't be scared. But
no reason to be nervous.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's true. I mean, probably 90% of those planes flying around the county here out of the airport that we operate at Livingston County Airport. Probably 80-90% of them are high school students.
That's so cool.
Including our daughter. Well, she's a freshman in college now, but
okay.
Yeah.
So she went through the program too, and
she is in the middle of it. Yeah. She actually has her instrument check ride tomorrow. So we're nervous parents right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a big deal. That's one of the hardest ratings to get, and her check ride with the FAA examiners tomorrow. So
we'll be quizzing her tonight. We have a date.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear how it goes.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Yeah, super exciting.
And she's one example where we weren't really sure. I mean, she was in high school and she took the 2-year program. I wasn't really quite sure. Is she gonna do this? Like, is she? She always really loved to go fly. I mean, we'd been flying since she was a baby, and she always loved it and always talked about it. But she was a big dancer. She had other passions, and she was in the class, and she was young. She graduated at 17, so she was on the younger side. But until she really started flight training full time and really dug in and had her instructor really hold her accountable for being prepared, doing the things, we weren't really quite sure. And then it was kind of like a light bulb went on, and then she was off, and then she just took off,
and she loves it.
It was amazing. And that's what we see in a lot of the students. Like, we're not sure, they're kind of like unsure, and that's we're trying in our business to say one of our core values is genuinely caring for others, and part of it is holding them accountable. Like, you need to come prepared. You do need to do the work. If you don't do that, you're not holding up your end of the bargain. And if you do, we're going to have a great journey together. Like, we're going to make this happen. And once those kids really figure that out and really dig in and do the work, they just are amazing. They can do great things. But getting them there, sometimes it's kind of hard and trying to tell them, it's taking really good care of them to hold them accountable, which I think is kind of hard in our society, because a lot of times we don't hold people accountable for producing.
Especially the kids.
Especially the kids.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are used to, I think, in some, with high school, I just have to show up in the class. And if I just show up, I'm good. And if I can perform for one test, if I perform for one test, I'm good. This is a whole different ballgame, because there's so many different silos of information you have to know, and you have to come prepared every time and show up. So
with our kids going through high school, we found out that now you can turn in homework late. Back when we grew up, if you turned it in late, you just didn't get credit for it.
Yeah.
Now you can turn it in at the end of this quarter and still get credit for. We're like, what's wrong with what's going on here? Yeah, and it's like, if you're flying planes, you can't turn your homework in late. We're gonna go fly today. You need to know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And to Andrea's point, if you don't, you're literally just throwing money down the drain, and we don't want that. We, again, if we just look at it from a pure business perspective, all right, go ahead, fly, give us your money, fly, don't get anywhere. If we didn't care, if we didn't have genuinely caring for others as a core value, we would let that happen, but we do. And so we don't. If a student isn't coming prepared and performing and ready to go, we don't want their money.
Yeah.
Because they're going to waste it.
Yep.
Yeah, so. Come when you're ready. If you need to pause or do something else, that's cool. We'll be here when you're ready. But just make sure you're committed, and the commitment is a huge part of it. And that means coming prepared, doing your part.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm sure you get more repeat clients, or they do come back like that, versus just taking their money and they have a horrible experience and then they're out talking about it in a negative light.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the more students that are successful with us, doing their thing, with us, I mean, the better the gossip, the better, the more people are going to talk about it and refer us and those things. So from just a pure business perspective, I think that if you're focused on the client and taking care of them, whatever your business is, that's just how we do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's how we have to do it in a flight training environment. But any business, if you don't sell something to someone that's not good for them. If you're focused on, hey, I'm selling you something and it's making your life better in some way, not just to make a buck off of you, those are two very different,
Absolutely.
mentalities.
Absolutely.
So I think that if you're always focused on taking care of your customer, whatever industry you're in, the money will work itself out, because you'll have the reputation, you'll have the good gossip, the good PR, all the stuff that comes with that.
All the stuff. How do kids get involved, or what is that process to start?
Well,
you mean like the high school program?
Yeah.
Or just
so
with
like
us.
if they're in like Livingston County or any of the other counties, they need when it's time to sign up for classes. I mean, they can talk to their counselors, but when you sign up for classes, you can sign up for the CTE programs in the classes when they're signing up.
Okay.
They can always talk to their school district and just call the ESA, like it would be LESA here in Livingston County, and talk to them if they want more information. But usually they just sign up when they're a junior or senior, can sign up for the class.
Okay.
Yep. So
or just call our number.
yeah, and we can usually guide them too.
Yeah. 517-552-1101.
Awesome. It'll
If
be
you're
in the
not
show
sure.
notes too.
Yeah, if you're not
Awesome.
sure.
Just call that number.
Yeah.
Leave a voicemail. If we don't answer, we get a lot of calls every day. So that's the high school class, is just done through your local school district with your counselor. If you want to just start learning to flight train or just take a discovery flight, I mean, you can take a discovery flight for $195 and fly around the area for an hour and just try it out.
Yeah.
So same thing, you would just call our main number
Super
to get that scheduled, or go to crosswindsaviation.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, all the information's there.
On the Brighton Happenings page last night, somebody asked about flight schools for their kid, and my wife responded on like that you two were going to be on my podcast today.
yeah,
so she's
yeah.
like, "Can you ask this specific question?"
yeah,
So
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
How do we get all?
So she's like, tune in, and we'll post the episode, and you can listen in and all that good stuff. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah, Discovery Flight's a great way. I mean, a lot of times people will give those as gifts and things like that, just to have somebody try it out, because it's just a one and done. It can be just a one and done, and you have the experience. And is it something you like? Is it something you enjoy? That kind of thing that can kind of give people an insight. If they really want to move forward with more or not. So
That's awesome.
we're good either way.
yeah, exactly.
So we've talked a lot about from that entrepreneur, like the risk and there can be the downfalls and the hard work and everything else. And you mentioned a little bit about boating and stuff like that. I'd love to talk about how the business kind of creates that life, that life that you love, being able to afford to do the things that you love to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're big subscribers to Gino Wickman, of course, with the EOS process, but also he has a book, The EOS Life, which I highly recommend for anyone to read, whether you're doing EOS or not. It's a great, mental model that he presents of how to live a life. I think that, just kind of high level, what is business? Business is really just a way for us to transact products to live our lives, right? Hopefully for the better. In some cases, not. There are a lot of products out there, I would say, that don't help us live a better life. But that's the whole idea. I think it's important to, when you're thinking about being a business owner or not, don't be ashamed to live a great life. Again, specify it. What is a great life? I mean, like Andrea said, 15 years ago when we were taking the course in California, that was our homework. Was we were specifying what is 25. What actually think about where do you start? At your funeral, what do you want people to be saying about you?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, it's a little
legacy.
bit morbid.
That's
and
more
hard.
of a legacy thing. What kind of legacy?
Yeah,
but
what kind
also,
we're tiny little specks on the earth, in the universe, in the billions of universes now that we found, right?
Yeah.
So, how does this all matter? I think the question that we start with is, well, what do we want our legacy to be? What mark do we want to put on the little world that we are living on? So start there and then work backwards and think about what really makes you tick. What legacy do you want to leave behind? And I think it's really, again, culturally, we're kind of told, work hard, make money, work hard. That's what life is all about, right? And it's just not. It's like, don't be ashamed to live a great life and enjoy the journey along the way. And that means, maybe whatever it is. In our case, we love sailing. We love boating. We're water people. And again, it's not for the boat, it's for the joy that it brings us. Sailing, if people out there haven't sailed before, I highly recommend trying it out. Great Lake Sailing up in Traverse City is where we have our boat, and they're a sailing school. They're amazing. You can just go do a charter for a day and try it out, or they have the classes. They're amazing people up there. But we love sailing. We love the experience of that. But it's more for the social aspect and the exploration. We love sailing out to, the Manitou Islands in the middle of Lake Michigan, anchoring out there and hiking on the island and just checking things out, finding Petoskey stones and, playing on the beach or, taking friends out there. So that's where we find enjoyment. And in the future, what we hope to do is take our boat and sail, at least around the continental United States and maybe across the ocean and explore the world, from the water.
So cool.
And not what we're talking about, just kind of a recent.
We're practicing right now in the Great Lakes. So.
Right.
But yeah, we'd like to take it St. Lawrence Seaway down the east coast and then down to like the Caribbean and the Bahamas. and that kind of thing.
But the new part that we're
Yes.
actually more excited about, I'll let you talk about that, because I think that actually gets me more excited than just the exploring piece.
Well, so, how I spoke about earlier, giving back to the community, being involved in community, and that provides a lot of joy to me, is like, how can I give back and how can I make an impact? And so when we were talking about going and doing this adventure on a sailboat and being gone, I was a little flat. I'm like, how's that going to look? Because I'm going to be leaving my community, And so one of the things that we kind of came to in our conversations was, well, maybe as we're going to different ports along the eastern seaboard or wherever we're at, maybe there's some projects there that we can get involved in, or find out, are there rotaries there, or are there other mission-driven projects that we can get involved in, so that maybe we stay a month or two at that place and be able to give back in some way, or be able
volunteer.
to find out what's going on in that region, and where are there. I mean, we're pretty good problem solvers now in our business. We find like every day we're problem solving, and where can we use our skills and talent that we've developed over the years and be of service to others and actually give back and do that. And so that's kind of exciting too, because along the way, we know we're going to meet some amazing people. We'll be able to, give our skills and what we have to offer, and just be able to immerse ourselves in other communities and see what impact we can make there. So that's part of the growing story, that it always evolves. And that's the cool part. Then that helps get us up in the morning too. When you're in the dredges of the business and this is all coming at you, when we have a story for our long term, like, okay, 5-10 years, that's what we're going to be doing, it kind of helps you move on from things quickly and not dwell on whatever's happening in the moment that might be hard.
Yeah.
And so I think that's always important too, is always personally thinking about, where do I want to be in 5, 10, 20 years, and what action I am today to get me there. And that, if you have a compelling story about that gets you up too, and it gets you excited. And all the hard work is not as hard.
Yeah. It's really about living a great life. I mean, and again, not just working hard and making money. How can we do things that are very satisfying for us? Like Andrea said, she's really big into the community. We can't we don't want to do something together that betrays that. Right?
Yeah.
She needs to be part of a community, and I do too. I mean, I'm very social as well, not in the same ways necessarily as Andrea in the community, but I enjoy it. And so for us, it's kind of like, how can we, when we look at our business, how can we do what we love to do in our business, but also at some point be able to leave that, go sail around the world, but not just to sail around the world for ourselves, but to go be of service.
That's
I mean,
an incredible
that just
part
gets
of
me
that story.
excited.
So it's so exciting.
Yeah.
To be able to impact and touch so many different communities, and that whole story and journey in itself would be so phenomenal.
Yeah. So we think that there's probably something that, who knows, maybe we'll blog about it, and share our things that we're learning along the way. And I would almost like to see in our work there, we could create some video content to showcase where people can help. There's so many communities and places here in the U.S. and across the world that need help. And if you can go help them and show the rest of the world where the help is needed and how you can get involved and do stuff, I mean, that sounds cool to me.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. So, and I think you need to be unapologetic about that, right? It's like, it's not just about making money. We need to take care of ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Us or our employees or any other business owner, whatever, know what you need, make it happen, and don't apologize for that. In fact, let everyone know, hey, this is what I'm up to. People will help you make it happen.
I love that's not like a mic drop moment right there. This has been such a phenomenal conversation. I know we could talk for another 2 hours.
We could, yes.
But I think you just summed up the whole entire episode in that, in what you just said. Just going out and making it happen.
Yeah. Stop letting things get in the way.
Yeah.
Just make it happen.
Yeah.
Make a story. Write your ambition out. Make it happen. There's nothing stopping you.
We make those excuses or we play small, or you create that
Constraints.
story in your head that you can only make it this far.
Yeah, exactly.
Dream big.
So,
Yep.
yeah, and just live a great life. I mean, really like be passionate about like life is awesome, man. Like, take it and make the best out of it.
Yeah. I guess a couple weeks ago, Trisha Turner said, "Life is what you make it," and it's really cool because again, talking about like showing the kids, and I know you said that probably to your kids so many different times that while they're growing up, but then they get to actually see it.
Yeah,
they're seeing you take life and make it how you want it.
Yeah, and we can start to see that in our kids with the way they're thinking about their lives and not falling into the traps of, like you said, the doctor, the lawyer, the engineer, the this, the that. It's like, no, go do what you want. Don't worry about the money. Even if you need a little support from us while you're figuring that out, that's fine. Learn what you love, because once you learn what you love to do, you can make money at doing almost anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Find the passion.
Find the passion first, and then figure out how to make money at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you guys found the passion. You got a school, and then you found a way to make money, but also do something that you really love to do.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
It's a fun ride.
It's a fun ride.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining me and sharing that ride with us. And I also,
Absolutely. Thank you.
I want to add, I'd be really remiss, like how many times, for the listeners, how many like analogies, flight analogies are there? And the way, do you practice those? Like sometimes like, you started off the episode like, the business really took flight.
Yeah.
Oh, you said it wasn't really on our radar. And I pictured like the radar. And, like,
there are so many of those that
so
just
many.
kind of come out. Have your career take off.
Yeah.
All those things.
Fun playing words. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's fun, but every time you said one, I'd like giggle, and I don't. So there's they happen throughout the whole episode.
Don't let your life be on autopilot. Take the controls.
Oh my God,
we could probably figure out.
We have so many
one.
titles.
Yeah.
What are we? What are we gonna name
Another
this?
core value, full throttle.
Yeah.
Adventurous and fun. That's one of them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, just
A little play off the airplane throttle.
Yeah, you really gotta just go out there and make it happen and have fun doing it.
Yeah,
Going full throttle.
Put the throttle forward. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you guys again so much for coming in and sharing so much. The story. It's so much value in the story that you told for other entrepreneurs out there, and
awesome. We hope so. I mean, that's why we take the time doing this, because again, we do care. We want to help other entrepreneurs.
We want to inspire people to just kind of try things out and just really kind of put yourself out there and just try it, and because you never know. What's going to happen, and until you actually
do it.
Take the first step and do it.
And don't be afraid to get help. Join the chamber. Talk to other business owners. Be annoying.
Yeah,
you can always
ask a
call
ton of
us
questions.
and ask us
Call
anything.
us.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how much. Probably similar to you. We love like just talking to other business owners and like, hey, I've got this challenge. Blah blah blah. What would you do? I'm like, well, I don't know. I'd try this. Oh, didn't think of that. We all experience that together.
Yeah, business owners a lot of times have blocks. They can't see it. And so when you have other people around you that bring it forth for you, like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
It's not like it's like rocket science or anything. It's just that you're blocked when you're in a breakdown or can't see it. Other people can see it so much more clearly.
There are things I coach people on every day in my business, like other entrepreneurs that like I'm just completely blind in my business.
Right? Yeah.
Somebody else has to ask me those questions.
It's hard to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if anyone wants to talk to us at any time, feel free to reach out.
Well, I love it. And that's been the theme and talking about like going out, making those declarations, asking those questions, seeking the resources, because you go out there and you have that, like you're going to get a lot of the answers. And this podcast came from that. Like I was just going out and picking the brain of people that I respected or I see going out and doing the things. And as I was going out and doing that, it was like, we were having such killer conversations. I'm like, why are we not recording this?
Yeah.
And so I started bringing a camera with me.
Awesome.
It was
Good
let's
idea.
record this, because
Thank
then
you
the
for
other
doing
thing that I was, because like I was like, I needed to get out there. I needed to create content. I didn't really love putting the camera in front of my face and just talking by myself. But then the cool thing is these people are telling me amazing stories that I'm talking to, and I'm learning and growing from them. But they don't know, they don't have any content. And they're like, yeah, nobody knows that story, because how do you tell that? Like it's like, oh, here's the camera. Let's tell it right now. Let's bust
let's
into
get it out there.
Yeah, that's
And here
great.
we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how it forms.
Yeah.
But
Good job.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's something I get to do. I just love doing it. So
Yeah.
it's
You're
fun.
great
So
at it. So
Thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate
continue.
that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thanks again. Thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate it.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having
same
us.
here.
We had a
Thank
ball.
you.
My pleasure.
All right.